Hi, I'm Lucas Gabb, and today we're at Gear4music and we're going to be looking at this ESP LTD Evertune guitar. And I'm going to tell you why Evertune is your new secret weapon. If you like videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get into it. What is Evertune? So Evertune is kind of like a Tune-o-matic bridge, kind of like a Floyd Rose, but combined to make something completely different. And as the name suggests, the aim of the game is to keep you in tune. So it's great for rock players, metal players, and honestly, this thing is a game changer in the studio. Imagine how many hours you're going to save if you're not tuning every 2 minutes. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. We're going to set this guitar up together. By the end of this video, you'll know how to set up your Evertune guitar. So before we start restringing this guitar, we need to understand the components of an Evertune. So here we've got a bridge, not too dissimilar to other bridges. We've got some Allen keys up here, which is for the action. We've got some Allen keys back here for the intonation. And here we've got 6 saddles, each of which has got an Allen key inside, and that is for the tuning. So each of these saddles corresponds to a spring, which is in the back of the body. And these springs are what we use to set the tuning and hold the tuning for the guitar. So first things first, let's get these strings off. 4 myths busted about the Evertune. Myth number 1, you cannot bend and you cannot vibrato. You absolutely can. You need to be on the edge of zone 2 or in zone 3 and you can bend it like Beckham. So that's the strings off, but before we put the new ones on, let's talk about string gauge. So I've gone for a custom set here because I'm going to be putting this in drop C with a low A. But before you put your new strings on your guitar, I recommend that you hit the link here or you check the link in the description and head over to the Evertune String Gauge Calculator. The Evertune String Gauge Calculator is a super helpful tool which will make sure that the strings you're going to put on will suit the saddles that you have in your bridge. So this is really important because if you're trying to put too much tension on the normal saddles, you'll end up with an issue in the bridge. It's super easy to figure out. You enter your scale length, the tuning you'd like to be in, and the string gauge, and it will do all the hard work for you. So now we've checked the gauge, we're ready to go, so let's get on with the restring. Similar to Tune-o-matic bridges, we're going to feed the strings through the back, and yeah, we'll do it now. So we don't want to pull the string too tight. I'm going to leave a little bit of slack, usually hold it maybe 1.5 inches from the side. I'm just going to bend that up to the top. Keep that tension as I get that first pass round. Pop that onto the saddle up top. So as you can see, we found the area where it's not really changing pitch anymore. I'm just going to do the rest of these now. Myth number 2, sustain's reduced on guitars with Evertune bridges. This isn't necessarily true. Most manufacturers, when they're designing guitars with Evertune bridges, will take this into account and they will make compensations with the body designs to allow for this. So now we've restrung, it's time to tune up. But before we do, let's talk about the 3 different zones an Evertune has. So zone 1, it's generally going to behave like any other guitar. Let's have a look. As you can see, as I turn the tuning peg, it still just rotates tuning. Nothing is perfectly in tune yet. That's where zone 2 comes into play. So zone 2 is where you're probably going to spend most of your time. Zone 2 means that the springs are activated and it's going to hold your tuning. So if you listen now, as I turn the tuning peg, it's going to stop increasing the tuning. That's when we know the bridge is engaged and we're in zone 2. So as you can see, I'm still turning the tuning peg and the tuning is staying the same. That's because the tension is being then taken by the bridge and the springs in the back of the bridge. Zone 3 is where we kind of move out of zone 2 into the area where we can bend notes and we can also, vibrato and we can get some expression into the playing. So what we generally like to do, most people kind of do this, is sit on the edge of zone 2 so that when you do play, you pull past zone 2 into zone 3, meaning you're perfectly in tune, but if you were to do a bend, you can still bend. So let's have a look now and you'll be able to tell when it moves into zone 3. So as you can see there, I went back and forth between zone 2 and zone 3. Okay, so now we've got everything into zone 2, we're going to start tuning. I'm going to be tuning this guitar to drop C with a low A, but this will apply to any tuning that you're trying to get into. Firstly, you need to check your string and see where in zone 2 it's actually reading at. So my lowest string is currently reading at a B, and I want this to be an A. So I simply need to lower this by 2 semitones. So to do this, we don't use the top of the headstock. We use this little Allen key that's provided by Evertune. We place this into the saddle on the bridge, like such. So naturally, we've got left to loosen, right to tighten. So if we're going to be lowering the pitch, we're going to turn it left. So minute adjustments here, you don't want to be, overturning, and it's pretty responsive. So let's take it. It's worth noting as well to take the key out when you're checking the tuning again, because the key sitting in there can add some weight to the saddle, and that's going to make it a little bit biased to what it's actually. Okay, so we've lowered a little bit. We're now in just below the B. So let's go again. Give it a good couple of turns. It's now A sharp. It's worth noting that you also want to check where you are in zone 2 whilst you're doing this, because you're playing a balancing game between the springs here and the tension of the string. So I've just pulled it back up to the edge of zone 2, so I know I'm comfortable and I'm not quite in zone 3. Let's see what it's reading. Okay, so we're still on A sharp. Let's loosen off a little bit more. Still a little bit sharp, let's keep going. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I'm just going to check again, see where we're at in zone 2. Okay, cool. We're in a pretty comfortable spot there, so I'm quite happy with that. We'll come back to them all once we've done all the strings, but let me get them all to that level and then we'll go from there. Myth number 3, you can't change tunings easily. Unlike a Floyd Rose, you can. You can pull it out of zone 2 up into zone 3, which easily allows you to tune back into standard tuning if you're already in drop. Alternatively, you can go the other way, get it out of zone 2, and you can tune to your heart's content. Okay, so we're looking good for tuning, just a little bit of fine tuning to go, but it's worth knowing, if you're restringing using the same gauge, going to the same tuning, you might not even need to do the same amount of tuning that we've just done, because generally, the bridge will already be set up to your tuning and your gauge. I've had situations where I've restrung and I've already been in tune. It's amazing. So now we're all tuned up, we're now going to do the fine tuning and we're also going to set up the intonation. But it's worth making sure you know that we need to be on the edge of zone 2, about to go into zone 3 before we set up the intonation, as this is likely where you're going to be sitting when you're playing. So first I'm going to check the note and then I'm going to make sure it's on the edge of zone 2, about to go into zone 3. So we are a little bit sharp, so I'm going to reduce that. Cool, looking good. So next we're going to use these screws at the back here. That is going to adjust the intonation. So we're going to turn it clockwise if the note is a little sharp and we want to pull it back, and we're going to turn it anti-clockwise if the note is a little flat and we want to extend it. So first I'm going to hit the open note and then I'm going to hit the harmonic on the 12th fret and check that both of them are reading the same on the tuner. We're looking pretty good, to be fair. I don't think we'll need to really change that. Let's check another string. So I'm just going to pull it up into tune. Now we're on the edge of zone 3. Okay, now let's check the intonation on this one. Okay, we can maybe give that one a little turn. So this is going to be anti-clockwise as we want to pull it into tune. So we're going to start with a small little turn. Check zone 2 again. Now I'm going to check that and the harmonic. Looking good. Those are looking identical to me, which is the important factor. We don't want it to get further down the fretboard and the note we're playing to not actually be that note or be a little bit sharp, otherwise it defeats the whole point. I'm just going to do the rest of these now. Fourth and final myth. The bridges won't stay in tune in different climates. This is untrue. Evertunes are designed in such a way that no matter what the weather, no matter the climate, they will stay in tune as they are just a matter of springs and tension. Cool, looking good. You might have noticed, I mean, the already great thing about this is a lot of these strings are perfectly in tune, perfectly set up, but I feel like these bridges really, really do help to just give a great intonation all around. Definitely one of the best bridges I've ever used. Okay, so now we're all set up and we've sorted the intonation out. We just need to remove these excess strings. And also at this point, you could change the action. As I've not changed it massively, I don't feel like I need to. Still playing fantastically, so yeah, let's do it. Okay, so now we're all set up. Let's see how this sounds. So there we have it. You know how to set up an Evertune, you know how to intonate an Evertune, and you now know how to be in tune. So next time you hear a bad note, you can't go blaming your guitar. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and thanks for sticking around. See you soon.